So good afternoon. Welcome to my shop. Um, I've at the moment I'm big into making jewelry. I did guns for a while. Did a gunsmithing program for a few years. I do help teach down there. I've done 3 semesters so far as a instructor. As a part-time instructor, kind of filling in, but I was taught the whole semester. And that's a lot of fun. And before that, I've always made things with my hands. Got kind of into stabilizing wood during the gunsmithing program, because one of the questions we had was about stabilizing gun stocks. So that's kind of just a rundown of what I do. Now, a few years ago, when I decided to quit my normal 9 to 5 and try to do something on my own, I was trying to think of avenues where I could sell my merchandise or the products that I'm building, making, creating, whatever. I'm very artistic, so all of my stuff is going to be handmade, items that I crafted. And a huge majority of them are crafted 100% from, cutting the trees, local timber, drying it, testing the wood, getting it to the point that it can be stabilizing it. Everything was me. And as far as jewelry, I do the same thing. It's 100% by hand. I make it all the way from I'll buy silver grain, I'll melt it down, roll it out in a roller mill, make necklaces, jewelry. So I like to do the whole process. So originally, Etsy seemed like it was going to be a really neat place for me to sell my stuff. And at the time that I chose Etsy, and the reason I chose Etsy is for years and years and years, I've always hated the cheap junk. And if you can buy it in a store, it's usually cheap junk. If you can go to Walmart, it's cheap junk. If you can get anywhere you can get stuff from, it's cheap junk. So it's like that's all people sell nowadays. So I research companies, and I do spend extra time and money on buying things that I need. I don't want to buy junk. Used to, if I wanted a stone or a necklace that had a stone in it, or a gift or anything, right? I would get on Etsy, because I knew that Etsy had sellers that really were handmade. A lot of the stuff was, they were really creating this stuff. You could tell. And I thought, well, that's cool, man. That's where I want to be. A nice platform that sells handmade stuff. People know it's got a good brand. They know that they come there to get, not a deal, but a genuinely well-built, or a product that's been built with care and passion, right? So I started my business, or I started my Etsy store. And my business was completely separate than the Etsy store, but I did run it through my business, but they had nothing to do with each other. So the Etsy store was stabilized wood, and my business, I did have a laser engraving services type business. And the Etsy store for about 8 months didn't do well at all. Didn't really get any sales. It was pretty abysmal. Then slowly the sales started to trickle in, and towards the end I was getting 4 to 6 sales a week. They were all about $30 to $50 sales, and it was pretty good. I was happy. It was I was happy with the progress. I wasn't going to get rich, but that wasn't the point. That wasn't the goal. originally. It's really more of a learning and growing process. But, you know, I was going to build up to a bigger company, you know, and grow. And online sales is definitely big. So finding a platform where you can do well is important. I mean, because it's a little bit more advertising. You get your product out there. So, you know, I was happy. Well, I went to the beach a few months ago, and when I got home, literally from that week forward, I had 0 sales. The last 3 months, no sales, none. I was a 5-star seller. People loved my stuff. I had no bad reviews. I mean, it was awesome. They raved about my product. I had many return customers, and it just fell off. This isn't the first time, right? So every few years, Etsy does this. They did it a few years ago, and they saw an opportunity where they could start to onboard foreign junk, right? And they could boost their revenue by boosting all the sales on their platform, giving them more money, right? But the problem is that really choked out their base. The ones that really built Etsy up and gave them the image that they were fighting for, which was a handmade, great marketplace, right? So you had all these people who built this, helped Etsy grow into what they are. And then at the first chance, to me, it seems like Etsy jumped at the opportunity to make a quick buck at the expense of its core base of people who keep it going. Well, now that the political climate has changed, you have fees and taxes that now are back. They used to be there, and then they took it away to where you could start to import small BS trinkets from overseas for free, basically. As long as you kept it under a certain amount, you weren't paying the fees. And all of a sudden, you know, and I think it was a wonderful thing. Now, if you buy overseas, you get hit with that fee. So used to, businesses would import, and they would eat that fee, right? I mean, they would take on that fee, and it would be dispersed amongst all the customers. That way, nobody had to eat the whole fee. Everybody took bites of it, and you know, it didn't hurt so bad. That way, your cheap widget is still cheap. It's just a little less cheap because you got to pay the taxes stuff, which is a good thing, because then you have businesses that can grow. You have these small shops that rely on these sales. They got choked out. So I mean, yes, it's neat to be able to buy a little BS widget for nothing, but not at the expense of the economy that you have to live in, and you have to grow in, and you have to raise your family and kids in. You want to grow your economy, and sometimes you have to take little hits. That's what taxes are. We're not going to get into that because I don't agree with taxes, especially not how they're used at the moment. But, you know, Etsy, it got real frustrating. So I've tried to talk myself into going back into doing Etsy again. But the problem is I've invested 2 years, and they, at the first opportunity to make a little bit more money, even though it meant really destroying your core base of people who keep you going, they jumped all over the opportunity for more profits at the risk of what's getting ready to happen. So you see all these sellers that are posting these YouTube or these content creators. I have to get on here because I haven't seen anybody really talk about this. I'm not a content creator. I do create some videos. It's just for fun. Nobody's going to watch this. Nobody cares. But if they do, maybe I can save you some time and help you avoid a really bad investment, okay? And I'll explain why Etsy is a horrible, horrible, horrible investment. So I can make an investment in traditional markets, crypto markets, and I can lose it all, right? It doesn't matter, okay? It doesn't matter how much I lose. I can lose it all, okay? I can turn right back around and I can make money again. I can go back out, I can hustle, I can make money. If I spend 2 years on Etsy, okay, and at the end of the 2 years, they destroy my store and make it impossible for me to make a living, 0 sales in 30 days is not a good living, okay? It's hard to eat on that kind of money. So, which is negative money if you didn't know. So, I put 2 years into that and I got nothing out of it, nothing. I absolutely wasted it. And it felt like you were slowly starting to grow and your numbers were getting better and your analytics were looking really positive. And one day, boom, your sale boop, drops off because Etsy decided to make a change, okay? Whether the change is good or not, it doesn't matter. The first change they made, it was supposed to be better for things. It wrecked my shop. The second change they made, it was supposed to not, you wouldn't feel it, and it was going to be better for everybody. It wrecked my store. This recent change, I don't know what happened, but it beyond wrecked my store. It basically just closed it down and bulldozed it. It's still there, but I mean, I don't get any views. So I finally took all of my products off because I'm sick of it. I'm not going to pay you 20 cents every couple months to list on a website where all you're doing is burying my stuff because I can't keep up with these drop shippers and resellers. And it's frustrating because I am handmade, right? My stuff is handmade. Yes, I'm not going to make Etsy bukus and bukus of money. But the fact is I am handmade, okay? You can't hand make thousands and thousands of widgets a day to pump out like they do on Amazon. That's not what handmade is. That's not why people are drawn to handmade. So any seller on Etsy, okay, that you see that has thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands of sales are not handmade, okay? You have to have a factory with massive amounts of employees to be able to produce that kind of stuff. And you're not using your hands, you're using machines, equipment, automated, machines. So, they're not going to choose me over the other guy because I can't make them that kind of money. And that's fine. But you shouldn't have built your company on handmade as a handmade marketplace and then turn around and wreck all the handmade shops. That doesn't make any sense. So to me, I made a bad investment by choosing Etsy. And then I made a bad investment by choosing to stay at Etsy. So I'll be damned if I make a third bad investment, because these aren't monetary investments where I lose the money and then I get all stressed out for a day or two and then it's gone. It's gone. Screw it. And roll on with your life and continue to make more money and then try to make a better investment next time. Okay, that's not how this works, okay? You invest 2 years, right? You lose that 2 years. I can't make time back, right? I can work stuff around to where I can try to fit things into the time that I have left. But where I choose to invest my time better be worth the investment, because if it's not, it is a complete loss, right? It is a loss. You are not getting that time back. I can't go back and make more sales. I can't go back and decide to pull my stuff off of that platform and try a new platform and just use that time again or recycle it. That's not how it works. It's gone. It's in the past. And your time is so finite. It is your most precious resource. Your most precious, non-renewable resource is time. So once a company like this proves that they are not interested on your return, okay? They don't care about your return. They care about their return, right? What they're bringing in. And that's fine. But if you feed into it, just know, like, you're being a tool that's being used to make them money, not they are a tool to help you make money, right? So businesses like that are supposed to be a tool to help you make money. That's how they make their money. But Etsy has turned into a company that, to me, seems like they are using you as a tool to build an image, to get big enough to bring in anything they want and maybe copy an Amazon type platform. It's fine. Make another company. Do it like that. Don't take your handmade marketplace and turn it into Amazon. That makes no sense. We have Amazon. Amazon logistics are awesome. They can get crap to my house in less than a day. You can't do that, Etsy. Don't try, right? They've got that market. You had the handmade marketplace. You're destroying it. I'm not coming back. I know a lot of people that's not coming back. I'm not coming back because just because of the whole, it's the point. It's the whole point behind it, right? You can't continue to use these companies that are using you. You can't continue to operate, and if you do, just understand, like, you're not getting anywhere with that. A handful of people will benefit from Etsy's decision to do this, that, or the other thing, okay? It's not going to be you. I promise you. It's not. The majority of people that get on Etsy and other marketplaces understand it enough to do decent. They can grow. They do well. But, you know, I don't know. It's just frustrating to me. This is a rant. I'll tear bits and parts of it out. I just want you to know, if you decide to invest your time in Etsy, don't say somebody didn't try warning you 2 years from now when whoever's running it decides to change everything around again and it wrecks your shop. There is no stability in Etsy. There isn't. It's just is what it is. I loved the platform. I still like the platform. Kind of. But now it's so hard to find real legitimate products. You don't know if it's real silver. You don't know if it's real this, real that, or if it's fake Chinese knockoffs. So it's a shame what they did to themselves. It's a shame what all of these companies are doing to themselves. And I just don't understand. I get it. Money is, I get it, but it's a shame. It's an absolute shame. Anyways, if you do go with Etsy, good luck. I won't be seeing you there.